hours and it's Sunday. No hours at all. Like, not even restaurants. I mean, there are some places that are open for lunch, but then it's like trying to find dinner at a restaurant on a Sunday evening in the countryside, impossible. So for this next point, I feel like some people, it might be an unpopular opinion, but as a student that was living in Paris, like, I found ways to be cheap. Like, I would like to go and enjoy a beer on the terrace with my friends, and I would look for the cheapest bars to get a pint of beer. And the thing is, like, you can find a good happy hour in Paris for a pint of beer for under €3, which is insane. Like, restaurants as well, like, you can, like, I have like 5 favorite restaurants that I can easily go and have a good full meal with a glass of wine or whatever for under €20 in Limoges. It's so expensive to go out and eat at good restaurants. Okay, the quality is really good in Limoges because we have the products, because you're surrounded by agriculture and cows, and the beef is just really good. And in Paris, a lot of times you have beef that's imported from Limoges to Paris, and you'll have in the restaurant, in the window, you'll see Bœuf Limousin, and that's beef that comes from cows of Limoges. It's clear and obvious, everyone knows that Paris has a culture of fine arts, and that's something that I do miss about Paris, because often with friends, we would go to different museums on Sundays, and one Sunday, the first Sunday of every month, museums are free, and so we used to always go and enjoy an artistic afternoon, and there was always so many different exhibitions going on that were just for a certain period of time, and so we would always try to go and see these different things. In Limoges, you do have some museums as well, but it's not the same sort of quality and significance that you have in Paris. Along that same sort of idea, also picnicking, I'm going to turn that into a verb. It's like one of the things I miss most about Paris, to be honest, because it was so common to go meet your friends at a park and you all bring snacks and wine and things to enjoy together, some music. Sometimes people would bring a guitar or ukulele, and on a nice day, number one option is like, guys, let's meet at this park, and that was really nice. Whereas in Limoges, it's like, there's only like one really nice botanical garden park, and there's like plenty of space, and you don't have the same sort of ambiance like at the park when there's not that many people. But when it's full, it's like, oh, it's so vibrant and so like happening, and that's something I really miss about Paris. This next point is less a factor of difference between these two places, but just something that I've noticed so much more living in Limoges, and that is the meal dining experience with friends. Because in Paris, like, I did have a lot of international friends, and we kind of did things a little bit differently. And it wasn't really until I was integrated into a real French society like Limoges, where I was exposed to real French culture when it comes to dining. And so with friends, it's like we will easily spend 3 to 4 hours having a good dinner. That includes like multiple courses, and of course like the apéro, which is having some drinks and snacks before the actual dinner.
Here's a great example of one of the apéros I was talking about, where it's a bunch of drinking and eating, and this meal probably lasted about 3 to 4 hours.
So for me, that was something that we did with groups of friends in Paris as well, but just way more common to experience in a smaller city where you're surrounded by French people. And then this last point is the general surrounding around the city. Around Paris, it's like all metropolitan, so like you have just tons of inhabited space, and you don't have much wilderness. Whereas in Limoges, you have forests and agriculture and parks and lakes and mountains and everything, so you're really surrounded by outdoor activities. And so when friends come to visit and the weather's nice, I always take them to a lake nearby, or we go for a hike. And playing sports in general in Limoges or the countryside is so much easier than it is in Paris, because you have limited space in Paris, and so all these sports facilities are all on the outskirts.
This next one really bugs me because I love going to the movies, and I am not going to watch an American film in French. I'm just not going to go to see these celebrities that we know and love with a dub over. Even if I speak French, I understand that's not the issue. It's like, I want to see a movie in the original form that it was meant to be seen in. Which I have the chance of going only once per week in Limoges. In Paris, you can find the original versions all week, all different times, at certain cinemas for sure. But in Limoges, it's like Monday evening at 7 p.m. is the only reasonable time for me to be able to go watch a movie in its original version. Other than that, there is Thursday night at 10 p.m., which I'm not gonna do because it won't finish until midnight 30, and then I have work the next day. Just not reasonable. However, on the contrary, no one speaks English, so it's good for me. I've really improved my French living here, which is one of the reasons why I chose to come to the countryside. However, some days after a long day of work, it's like, I'm tired. I can't think anymore, and I just want to speak English and not have to think. I just want to be done. In Paris, they aren't known for having good English, but at least they're exposed to other foreigners and cultures and tourists and everything, so they're used to at least hearing some English here and there. They travel more often. Ooh, that brings me to another point that I didn't even think of earlier. Traveling from here is a bitch. You have to already, if you want to go outside the country, you have to already go to a bigger city to then take a flight, or to take a train and then fly, or like a bus then fly. You always have to make a mini trip within your overall big trip. I went to Spain recently, and I had to go from Limoges to Bordeaux, and then from Bordeaux fly to Spain. So usually I have to go to either Toulouse, Bordeaux, or Paris. And that is annoying because I already lose half a day just to then lose some more time getting to where I'm trying to go. So that's just really not practical. I can see why people here don't travel so much, because it's hard to get out. You can't just leave for the weekend unless you stay in France. I mean, otherwise it's not worth all the travel. Last and final points, something that you should definitely be aware of if you're living in France and moving to a different region. Beware of la bise. This is the greeting where you kiss on both cheeks when you say hello, when you meet someone. And in Paris, you offer first your right cheek, then your left cheek. In Limoges, it's the opposite, and I was unaware of this before coming, and so I would go to say hi to people and just immediately go the opposite direction and kiss them on the lips. This has happened to me probably 4 or 5 times before I caught on to, oh, okay, you go the other way. But when I go to visit friends in Paris, I'm forgetting, and now I'm always just effed up because I'm going to different parts of France, and I just kind of blank out and I just kind of go for it, and I have just made some very friendly encounters, we'll call it. And that is something that you have to be aware of. The South, the West, the North, Central, you just have to be aware of how it is, where you're going.
If you like this video, please like, subscribe, share, follow me on Instagram to know when I'm posting my next videos. So, until next time, à la prochaine!